What's up, guys, and welcome back to my next video. Hope you're all doing fine, and today we're gonna read the sixth part of Madame Bo-Peep of the Ranches. So let's do this. The manager of the rancho de las Sombras was no dilettante. Sorry, I will write it at it. A few days after Octavia's arrival, he made her get out one of her riding skirts and curtail it to a shortness demanded by the chaparral brakes. With some misgivings, she donned it. This and the pair of buckskin leggings Hepper prescribed in addition, and, mounted upon a dancing pony, rode with him to view her possessions. He showed her everything: the flocks of ewes, ewes, flocks of ewes, okay, muttons and grazing lambs, the dipping watts, the sharing pans, little dipping watts, the sharing pans, the uncouth merino rams. No idea what is this. In their little pasture. The water tanks prepared against the summer drought. Giving account to his stewardship with a boyish enthusiasm that never flagged. Where was the old titty that she knew so well? This side of him was the same, and it was a side that pleased her. Where was the old teddy that she knew so well? This side of him was the same, and it was a side that pleased her. But this was all she never saw of him now. Where was his sentimentality, those old, varying moods of impetus, love-making, of fanciful, quixotic devotion, of heartbreaking gloom, or alternating absurd tenderness, and haughty dignity, His nature has been a sensitive one. His temperament, bordering closely on the artistic. She knew that, besides being a follower of fashion and its fads and sports, he had cultivated tastes of a finer nature. He had written things, he had tampered with colors. He was something of a student in certain branches of art, and once she had been admitted to all his aspirations and thoughts. But now, and she could not avoid the conclusion, Teddy had barricaded against her every side of himself except one, the side that showed the manager of the Rancho de las Sombras and a jolly chum who had forgiven and forgotten. Jolly chum. Queerly enough, the words of Mr. Bannister's description of her property came into her mind, all enclosed within a strong barbed wire fence. Teddy's fence, too, said Octavia to herself. It was not difficult to her to reason out the cause of his fortifications. It had originated one night at the Hammersmith's ball. It occurred at a time soon after she had decided to accept Colonel Beaupre and his million, which was no more than her looks, and proposed with all his impatience, impetuously, and fire. And she looked him straight in the eyes and said coldly and finally, "Never let me hear any such silly nonsense from you again." "You won't," said Teddy, with a new expression around his mouth. And now Teddy was enclosed within a strong barbed wire fence. It was on this first ride of inspection that Teddy was seized by the inspiration that suggested the name of Mother Goose's heroine, and he at once bestowed it upon Octavia. The idea supported by both, a similarity of names and identity of occupations seemed to strike him as a peculiarly happy one, and he never tried of using it. The Mexican of the ranch also took up the name, adding another syllable to accommodate their lingual incapacity for the final P, gravely referring to her as La Madame Bo-Peep. Eventually it spread, and Madame Bo-Peep's ranch was as often mentioned as the Rancho de las Sombras. Came the long hot season from May to September, when work is sacrous on the ranches. Octavia passed the days in a kind of lotus eater's dream. Books, hammocks, correspondence with a few intimate friends, a renewed interest in her old watercolor box and easel. This disposed of the sultry hours of a daylight. The evenings were always sure to bring enjoyment. Best of all were the rapturous horseback rides with Teddy, when the moon gave light over the windswept leagues, chaperoned by the willing night hawk and the startled owl. Often the Mexicans would come up from their shacks with their guitars and sing the weirdest of the heartbreaking songs. There were long, cozy chats on the breezy gallery, and an interminable warfare of wits between Teddy and Mrs. McIntyre, whose abundant Scotch shrewdness, often more than overmatched the lighter humor in which she was lacking. And the nights came one after another and were filled away by weeks and months. Nights soft and languorous, langu, languorous, and fragrant, that should have driven Strephon to Chloe over wires, however barbed, that might have drawn Cupid himself to hunt, lasso in hand, among those amorous pastures. But Teddy kept his fences up. One July night, Madame Bo-Peep and her ranch manager were sitting on the east gallery. Teddy had been exhausting the science of prognostication as to the probabilities of a price of 24 cents for the autumn clip, and had then subsided into an anesthetic cloud of Havana smoke, only as incompetent a judge as a woman would have failed to note long ago that at least a third of his salary must have gone up in the fumes of those imported regalias. Alright, guys. The story goes on. It's probably two more parts. So thank you for joining me today, and see you tomorrow on the next part.